We had not one, but two big moves this morning. I'll give you dealer's choice. Which one would you like to start with?
Diaz for sure.
Okay.
And I only say that because the Schwarber move was largely expected. Even with all the action on him, the Phillies were the favorite from the very beginning, and it was just a question of when it would get done, how it would get done, what the money would be. And they went to a level that most guys who project this stuff projected. 5 years, $150 million. Diaz was a stunner. And everyone knew that the Dodgers were in on relievers, late-inning relievers, but the feeling was that only on a one-year deal or short-term, they wouldn't necessarily want a qualifying offer guy, lose 2 draft picks. Well, they went to 3 years. They lost 2 draft picks and $1 million in international bonus money, and they're acting like the Dodgers always act. So we probably shouldn't have been surprised by any of this.
That's really good. And
they don't care.
They don't care.
Let's
That's
stop.
Exactly
like the $1 million.
They don't care.
care
I know.
They don't
What is the
care
purpose
because
of
they keep
the
finding
sport?
players.
Winning.
Yes, the purpose of the sport is to win. And I know this will probably evoke a fresh round of the Dodgers are ruining baseball, but if you remember, it went down to the ninth inning of beyond the ninth inning of the last game of the World Series, and they were 2 outs away from losing that sucker. So, hey, obviously they had made some bullpen moves last year that did not work out so well for them. Edwin Díaz is much more of an established guy than Tanner Scott was, and Kirby Yates was older, of course, but it's a huge move for them, obviously. And what they like about their team is not only do they have the starters from last year coming back, but they've got some younger starters coming off injuries. Gavin Stone, River Ryan, and Kyle Hurt. These guys have had varying levels of success in the big leagues already, and now they're entering and re-entering the picture for LA.
Are there deferrals in this contract? Do we know anything about that?
We don't know for sure yet, but I expect that there will be deferrals. Yes.
Okay, so the Dodgers are trying to make moves before the CBA happens and whatever changes come up. But also, isn't this the one hole they really had, the Dodgers?
Yes.
And they filled it.
Outfield. Outfield is the other hole, and I expect they'll fill that too.
But a bigger need, honestly,
yes.
We saw the way the playoffs, they had to throw Suzuki out there.
Sure.
Right, so this fills another major hole. They're ruining baseball, Ken, and their manager wants a salary cap. Well, guess what? If you have a salary cap, you ain't probably getting Edwin Díaz, right? So how do they keep doing this?
I think you're right, AJ, about they want to get this done before whatever new restrictions come into play in the next CBA come into play. There might not be a salary cap, but there probably will be, if not a salary cap, stricter luxury tax penalties, thresholds that would be difficult for them, whatever the case might be. So, yeah, there is strategy in doing that right now, in trying to get all you can before the CBA strikes. But even if there is a salary cap, we've seen this. The Dodgers are one of the smartest teams in the game. They're still going to be good. They're not going to be that limited, and some of the bad teams are still going to be bad because they're not that creative. They're not that smart in the way they go about it. So I've said this before. I'll say it again. A cap would address some things for sure, and maybe in a way that would benefit the game, but it's not going to change the fortunes of franchises automatically. If you're not good in the NFL with a cap, you're generally not good. The Jets, the Cleveland Browns, they're not good.
Thank you.
So I don't know that the competitive balance question is really all that fair here. It's obviously part of it, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. The sport needs to do a better job of shrinking the payroll disparity. And there are ways to do that beside a cap. But at the same time, let's not pretend that it's going to be a panacea for some of these teams that aren't competitive.
Can you compare and then move forward on Robert Suarez? Can you compare Devin Williams' contract that he signed, which I thought was maybe a little short, to Edwin's contract that he signed, and then moving forward, what does this mean for Robert Suarez? Who's left in the market, and is he going to get just a tier down? Is he in between Devin Williams? Where's that market playing out at for him?
I'm not exactly sure, Erik, where it plays out in terms of the dollars. Is he more highly regarded than Devin Williams? I'm not sure. A little older and a guy that is really good, obviously, but Devin Williams is seen as an extreme talent. The Dodgers were in on him. Now, you asked me which teams. That I can speculate on. The Mets still want another late-inning guy. The Braves still want another late-inning guy. And there are a number of other teams as well, the Tigers, all kinds of teams looking for that kind of stopper at the end of games. So Suarez is going to do well. Now, I don't know if he does better than Devin Williams or not, but he's going to do well.
Okay, let's get to the Mets side of the equation here, and I think this ties into the Dodgers. They looked at Diaz and said, wait, three years, not 5, not 4, 3 years for 69? Sure, we'll play ball. Anthony DiComo, who covers the Mets for MLB, said he was told the Mets offered 3 years, 66 with slight deferrals and had room to improve that number, but he just said, got 3 years, 69, and I'm gone. How does that happen when Williams, I know 50 versus 70-ish million, it's something, but for the Mets, it shouldn't be much. And I think most people would be like, I'm going to take the commodity I know has pitched well.
I just saw a Mets fan in the lobby, and he said to me, how can the Mets get outbid for a guy that they supposedly wanted with Steve Cohen as their owner? Fair question. And if you're at 66 and you got beat out by 69, obviously Edwin wanted to set a mark, and the Mets didn't get there. So we had heard originally that Edwin wanted 5 years, similar to what he had before, 5 years, 102. But that's $20 million AAV. This is 23, again, before deferrals, which will bring it down. But the Mets are curious right now. They don't seem to be that heavy on anybody. They didn't get Schwarber. Didn't expect them to get Schwarber. Are they hot on Alonso? It doesn't seem like it. Need a left fielder. They need starting pitching, and they don't want to go long-term on any starting pitcher, which I kind of get. The market's not great, those guys who are available. But, all right, what's your answer? That's the question.
David Stearns, he finds value in.
He's going to have to.
That's what he's supposed to be the best at, right?
Yeah.
What about Schwarber? I know everyone expected him to go back to Philly, and I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for Philly. But my question is, we heard Pirates, and we heard Reds, and we heard all these other. But was that serious? Because this is what
it was serious.
But the Pirates, they go, okay, 4 years, 100. They knew that wasn't going to get it done. Is it the offer where, hey, Ken, if I offer you 10 years, 100, will you sign with the Athletic?
Yes, I would.
Okay, but then they say, we were just kidding. That's not a serious offer, right? Just tell us if you would, right? So to me, that's what it seemed like. Because I've been a free agent, and teams come to you and say, hey, if I offer you this, will you take it? Well, I'm not giving you that answer because is this a real offer? And they were like, no, it's not a real offer. So were these real offers? Because
they were real offers,
but were they actual
were they going to get it done?
Offers? Yes.
And I had someone in the industry say to me yesterday, he thinks what the Pirates were doing with Schwarber was performative. And I understand that, but if you're the Pittsburgh Pirates and you throw out a 4-year deal for $120 million when you haven't paid a free agent more than $39 million in your history, okay, maybe you're not winning, but it's certainly a deal that is in the ballpark. It's the same AAV he ultimately got from the Phillies, but with 1 more year. So I don't know that we can just rip the Pirates. I heard what Bowden said yesterday. I didn't care for it. They should have offered 6 years. They're doing more than they've ever done. They're signaling to the market, to the other players, that they're serious. So, sure, was it going to get it done? No. Were the Reds going to get it done or be the high bidder? Probably not. They knew that from the very beginning. The Pirates knew that too. But they took their shots, and I don't know that we can sit here and rip these teams for never taking shots and then rip them when they do take shots, even if they're not obviously the best foot forward.
But then go after the guys you think you have a fair shot at.
Like, I would assume they're going to do that.
Let's just half court chuck it behind,
No, I would assume in the Pirates case,
they're
going to sign some players. Now, they're going to have to overpay probably, and it's not going to necessarily be pretty, but
that's what they had to do for Schwarber, though. They would have to overpay to get him to prove that they're serious, because Schwarber's not going to go for
even if they went to 6 for Schwarber. You think they were getting him?
If they overpay, if they went 6, 180,
that's why we have these guys on. I'm like, it makes them think. Four to me is like, they're still a joke. That's all. That was my thing. Everybody was hearing or you're reading he's going to get 5 years, and then this team gives him a 4-year offer.
I don't know. I don't see it that way. Okay. I see it as they're finally serious, and no one was saying they're going to get the guy. But they were making an attempt, and I think it is a signal to the other teams, or the other players in the market, I should say, and even teams, that we're serious. We want to surround Paul Skenes with better talent, and obviously it wasn't going to work here, but we'll see where it goes.
Do you think they're going to use that money somewhere else?
I don't know if they'll use all 120 or whatever it is, but I do believe they're going to spend.
Okay. Now,
at a higher level than they have.
Now I'm going to ask you the next question. We had this conversation yesterday. why all of a sudden are the Pirates spending? And don't say Paul Skenes, because this reminds us of the Oakland Athletics, who are now the Sacramento Athletics, who are soon going to be the Vegas Athletics. Told by Major League Baseball, you have to spend money. Did Major League Baseball go to the Pirates and say, you guys have to spend money or we're going to get a grievance because you're not spending anything?
AJ, I've written about this. I know you haven't read it.
Of course not.
We
Can it
talked
be a
about it on
motivator?
FT when he wasn't on.
Yeah. Can it be a motivator? Yes. I don't know exactly what's motivating them. What should be motivating them is they have the best pitcher on the planet for 4 years more, and they've got to do something. And the owner is ripped in Pittsburgh all the time, rightly so. And it's time for them to act in a different way than they have before. And no one expects them to act like the Dodgers. We all get that. We all get what the industry is and the disparities. But there are teams at their level that try. They don't try or haven't tried. So there are a lot of eyes on them right now to see what they do and to see if they back it up. Because as with the Tigers and Skubal, it's only 1 year with Skubal. These are opportunities that don't come along often. You don't have a Tarik Skubal on your staff for very many, or many teams don't get that opportunity. The Pirates, teams don't get that opportunity to have a Paul Skenes. When you have that guy, you better fire. You better try.
So that takes me to the article you wrote yesterday about the Tigers. What's going on with them? Are they going to trade him? And if not, are they going to go for it this year?
I don't expect that they're going to trade him, and I don't know how hard they're going to go for it. Scott Harris, their president of baseball operations, is pretty disciplined, and I would say borderline rigid in the way he goes about it. He's risk averse, in my opinion. I know he would disagree, but you've got Tarik Skubal for 1 more year. You've gone to the playoffs 2 straight years with him. He's a big part of that. He's won 2 straight Cy Young Awards. Why wouldn't you put your best foot forward here? Not saying do anything stupid.
Well, what does that mean, though, best foot forward?
It means going out and getting another bat and a number 2 starter behind him and fixing your bullpen. That's what it means.
That's a lot, though.
It's a lot.
But where did Scott Harris come from?
Chicago Cubs.
And what are they?
And the San Francisco Giants.
And what are they, both those organizations, very averse to?
Spending big.
And risk.
And risk. Pretty
So
much
he
the
learned-
entire industry is averse to
Well,
risk.
we've had this. That's a whole
Yeah.
different conversation. But you see what I'm saying? Scott Harris came from, especially the Cubs. The Cubs won't go out and make that huge splash move, right?
Right.
The Giants, he was under Farhan, right? So he was kind of tall. Hey, we can win if you find little tiny margins.
That
So,
is, I mean.
See, so
that is-
that's my question with the
And
Tigers.
Scott Harris's point would be, hey, we've done really well. We've made the playoffs 2 straight
They
years.
have,
We went to
but
game
so have the
5.
Guardians.
And, absolutely. But the Tigers are not the Guardians. That's a bigger market. And it seems to me they had an owner once upon a time, the late Mike Ilitch, who did not even act like they were in a medium-sized market. He spent. It's an owner's choice in many cases, too, to do at this level or this level. Peter Seidler, the late Peter Seidler, great example, transformed that franchise by spending. Now, they haven't won the World Series, and they've had their problems. We all get that. But they're packing that stadium. They're putting an entertaining product on the field. It's a flawed product many times, but it's entertaining. That's the other way.
Let me ask you about your latest Ketel Marte's trade market. What are you hearing, and do you think he actually gets moved? Of course, the Diamondbacks are, giving you the classic anywhere they've spoken. Mike Hazen, we'll listen on anyone, but it would take the world if we're going to move.
That's typical.
Player,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. But what's the real situation?
My belief is they want to move him so they can fill some of the holes that they have on their team. And they have pitching holes right now, in particular, outfield maybe as well. Where Jordan Lawler is going to end up, it's not clear. But as I wrote, these things take time. And they take time. The Diamondbacks knew that 3 years ago. They traded Varsho. It was almost Christmas Eve, but they started those talks at the winter meetings. It's particularly complicated in Marte's case because of all that happened last year. The 3 days he missed after the All-Star break, when he was back in the Dominican Republic after his home in Scottsdale was burglarized. The article that came out in the Arizona Republic by Nick Pecoro detailing the players' frustrations with him. Now, if you're a team looking at Ketel Marte, you're going to look into this pretty heavily before you pay that price. And that might be part of the delay here, too. So I can't predict whether he will be traded, but if I had to bet, I would bet yes, because 10th day of the season, his 10-5 rights kick in, and then he has a full no-trade clause.
Mm-hmm. He's the best second baseman in baseball,
He
in
is.
my opinion.
Where would he go?
There's any number of places he can go.
Well, give me 2.
Boston would be one, and
Okay.
they've been in the mix. Depends on Bregman, of course. The Mets now with Semien would not be a team.
Phillies.
I'm sure there are a number of teams that. I mean, who
Kratz,
knows?
said
Kratz,
Phillies.
Kratz wants it to be the Phillies.
What about the Pirates?
What
They
about
can't
the
sign
Pirates?
guys.
What about
That
the
would
Blue
be-
Jays? That's the kind
See,
of
the
move
Pirates.
yeah.
That's the move for me. The Pirates.
That's
need
what
to
I
make.
said yesterday. I'm
And
like,
they
that's
have young
perfect.
pitching. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
guy can hit. Their offense was garbage last
Yep.
year, and they need everything. Ben Cherington said, "I need contact. I need a little power. This is everything in a hitter,
It's true.
and it's in their price range,
That's a good call.
right?
call,
500-ish, whatever that
And
number.
they're getting hit on some of their younger pitchers, even after the Oviedo trade, and they could possibly move another to get the right bat.
Two more teams that have trade situations going on. Cardinals. What do you think about Brendan Donovan? I know you wrote about Gorman, Nootbaar, etc. Contreras.
Donovan, I think, goes.
Okay.
He's very popular with a number of teams because he can do anything, right? Infield, outfield, whatever you want him to be. They'll probably trade another one of their left-handed hitters too, with the Nootbaar, Gorman. I don't think it will be Burleson. And Wilson Contreras is an interesting guy. 2 years, about $41 million with the buyout on the third year. That's a reasonable price in a shortage or in a situation where there is a shortage of right-handed hitters. So I could see that happening too. And then there's Arenado, and I would expect that they're going to try really hard to find a spot for him, maybe after all this settles.
Okay, and then last one, the Nationals have Mackenzie Gore, maybe CJ Abrams you wrote about. What do you think happens there? It's a new GM. I liked his first move.
Yes.
We like Ford.
Yes. It's an interesting situation. Britt Giroli just wrote about this with the Nationals. So if the Nationals come in and think, you know what, we're bringing in new people, new pitching coach, new analytics, maybe we can make Mackenzie Gore better and his value will be even higher at the deadline when there's no free agent competition. That's one way to look at it. The risk in that is Mackenzie Gore blows out or gets injured in any way in the first half, and then his value plummets. So if I were the Nationals, I'd probably do it now, and I'd probably wait for, or maybe not even wait, for the top free agents to sign. Mackenzie Gore is a total stud, and he would transform a team. So if I'm the Nats, I'm looking to do it now. CJ Abrams, it's not as clear, but they are drawing interest in him, and it's a similar kind of thing. There aren't a lot of shortstops out there. Bo Bichette is. Some teams don't see him that way. Ha-Seong Kim, of course. So if you can get CJ Abrams, it's 3 more years, that's pretty enticing.
Yeah, Gore is Jekyll and Hyde pitcher, so I would be careful. When he's good, he's a 1.
Yes.
When he's not good,
But
like
he's
last year or this past season, it got bad.
If I'm a team, a contending team that has a strong pitching program, he's exactly the kind of guy that teams think, give him to us, we'll fix it.
Right, and for the Nats, though, if he has a bad first half, now
Yeah, then you got a problem.
you got a problem.
Yeah.
All right, Ken, good stuff.
I don't know.
Good to
I
see
got
you.
two
Thanks,
questions
guys.
for him
What?
before he goes.
All right, go.
They're quick. Hall of Fame, yes or no?
I need to get back to work.
Yes.
Hall of Fame, yes or no? Should more than Jeff Kent have got in on the committee?
My feeling is, AJ, I would have been comfortable with any of those 8, honestly.
Fair.
So I would have been happy to see any of the 8 get in. Now, yeah, I know, as I say that, the BBWA did not elect these guys. I didn't vote for all of them, but I would have been comfortable with any of them. So Kent was a good choice, no question. I would have
Great
been happy
interview
to see
yesterday,
more.
by the way.
Yes,
Unbelievable
I saw.
interview.
He was
yesterday.
great.
I saw. What was the other question?
You're the bravest man in Orlando right now. You have an iPhone with no case. What happens if you drop it?
It gets scratched.
And he moves on. He lives. He
Yeah.
doesn't have to be 100% to perform.
Oh.
I'm not that brave,
Oh.
and I'm not that
You don't-
smart.
you don't
I
need
should
a-
get. I should get a new case.